What's up everybody, you're watching Model AV8R, I'm Adam, and this week we have a bit of a comparison video for you. It's been brought to our attention that a lot of people wonder why E-flite offers two T-28s so close in size to each other, a 1.1 and a 1.2. We're going to take a look at these two, we'll fly them, and we'll see if we can't shed some light on that for you. The original 1.1 T-28 was first sold by Horizon under the Park Zone brand before it was an E-flite, and that was 16 years ago in 2007. It's been sold as a ready-to-fly, a charge-and-fly, a plug-and-fly, a plug-and-play, and a bind-and-fly. It's been upgraded multiple times over the years, and it's been through a handful of paint schemes. Says a lot about that airframe that it's still around in this latest version in 2023. If it's possible that electric RC airplanes could be considered iconic, the 1.1 T-28 has to be one of them that is. The 1.2 T-28 hasn't been around as long, but it's been around a bit. It was introduced in 2015, and this is the second version of it. It's been electronically upgraded, and it's sporting a new paint scheme. So here are the specs, and as you can see looking at them, the 1.2 is bigger than the 1.1 by a bit more than the numbers might suggest. Interestingly enough though, not by enough that the storage and transport requirements differ very much, and that's a good thing. Both these T-28s are 3 and 4S compatible, and on occasion when you hear that about an airplane, that means that it's the plane it should be on 4-cell and it barely has enough power to get out of its own way on 3-cell. It is not the case with these. On 3-cell, there's plenty of power on tap to fly the planes the way they're intended to be flown. And on 4-cell, the power level goes up to pretty much bonkers. The 1.1 is intended for 18 to 2200 3 and 4S packs, and the 1.2 is intended for 22 to 3200 3 and 4S packs. Both these T-28s are using the Spectrum AR631 receiver. That is an AS3X optional safe select receiver with smart telemetry capability. The 1.1 has an E-flite 30 amp ESC with smart telemetry capability, and the 1.2 has an Avian 70 amp light ESC with smart telemetry capability. So if you use a compatible Spectrum transmitter and a smart battery pack, you can see the list of telemetry options you have available here with either plane. The 1.1 is a sport scale T-28 with an emphasis on simplicity. It has forgiving fixed gear and basic 3-axis control. There's no flaps as it doesn't need flaps to slow down well. It's very light. That light wing loading coupled with some liberties taken to the scale outline and a very forgiving airfall make one of the easiest to fly T-28s that we've flown to date. The new high-vis paint scheme makes orientation in any color sky easy to keep up with. The 1.2 is packed with features that make it more of a scale T-28. It has a much more accurate outline, retracts, flaps, a scale propeller that's the right size, as well as a lot of other features that make it look much more like a full-scale T-28 Trojan than the 1.1. Both the manuals cover the steps of assembly very well, and anyone that's assembled a foam trainer should have no trouble getting either one of these T-28s together. The 1.1 has a low part count and very few steps. No glue is required, there's very little wiring, and the manual is on point. The 1.2 is similar with a low part count. There are only a few steps, no glue is required there either. There's a bit more wiring, but the wiring is marked well, and again, the manual is on point and makes that easy. So when it comes to setting up these two T-28s, once again, the manuals are a great place to start. Manual setups for both these airplanes are going to be just fine for most people. I will say that the AS3X is set very well for both these. I felt no need to unlock either of these receivers and make any changes there. It was pretty much on point, at least in my opinion, right out of the box. So when it comes to our specific setup, we did deviate a bit from what the manual suggests. We made some mechanical adjustments to get more throw that did not have an adverse effect on the AS3X and the way it corrects. And we wanted to be able to show you kind of what these airplanes can really do when you throw them around pretty hard. Also, we deviated from the balance, and we've got our balance further back on the 1.2 to facilitate prettier, more scaled takeoffs and landings, because we just like to do that. So, as usual, the setup pages are going to be right before the flying, and we'll have a separate setup page for the 1.1 and then you'll have one for the 1.2. so you can see the changes that we made in case you'd like to try it. So now it's time to get to the flying, and Horizon promises pretty much the same thing of both these airplanes. They say that they're capable of sport and scale-like flying, and in the right hands on 4-cell, capable of higher speed, higher energy aerobatics. So that's exactly what we tested. So setup pages are next for both the airplanes, then the flying starts. Enjoy the flying, and we'll meet you back here, and we'll wrap this up. The 1.1 is very stable, slow, and we're going to climb up, turn around, and show you full tilt on 3-cell. There's plenty of climb rate on 3-cell as well. As you can see, sustaining knife edge on 3-cell is a cakewalk, and you've got enough power on 3-cell to do pretty much any kind of sport flying and sport aerobatics you might want to do. The 1.1 is very easy to fly inverted. It's just one of those solid, honest airframes that builds confidence. If you're an advanced pilot, you're going to feel like you can get away with anything, and if you're a newer pilot, it's not going to intimidate you, and you'll learn a lot from it. did some tight turns. You saw a little bit of a tumble or an outside snap. Now we're doing a flat turn, which is a complete cross control situation. We couldn't really get this airframe in any kind of a position or situation where it bit us with anything unpleasant. We decided to throw it around a little bit more, and we wanted to show you this nice forward slip. This airplane does this really well, and to be honest, it'd be a good airplane to learn these on. Now this is interesting. We wanted to see if we could take this airplane off and land it within the length of the runway, and it's a cakewalk. And of course it only counts if you can repeat it, so we're going to do it the other way. Obviously the 2200 4-cell pack is going to be a little bit heavier, but you can't really feel the difference with the T-28. It handles really well flying slow with 3 or 4S. A little bit long there, but we're going to get some grass ops in for you here. Note that where we touch down, the grass is tall enough you literally can't see the wheels when we come to a stop. They're small wheels, but even with the grass uncut and thick, they did okay. Good thing to keep in mind is, since the gear legs are an L bend, there's room for taller wheels if you want to use them. Obviously on 4-cell, there's a lot more speed and climb rate, which you're about to see. To be honest, it would probably do this on 3-cell, but I have to say that knife edge circles on 4-cell are a lot of fun. Another fun thing to do when you have an airframe that won't bite you is learning to do short approaches. And now for the 1.2 T-28. If scale flying is your thing, and you want a T-28 in the size range that mimics the look of a full-scale T-28 going through the air, that is this airplane's strong suit, and that's the big advantage that it has over the 1.1. The 1.2 is not hard to fly, and as more full-featured warbirds go, it's one of the easier ones to actually fly scale with and make it look really good. We preferred the 3200 4-cell pack because the flight times are great. You get a nice long flight time, 7 to 9 minutes depending upon how you fly the airplane. And as you can see here, it handles just fine slow with the heavier pack. The 1.2 is making considerably more power than the 1.1. When you take a look at the setup page and look at the watts per pound, this thing is in the 3D airplane territory. So when you press that throttle forward, it really goes. The more full-featured nature of the 1.2 does make it a bit more complicated than the 1.1, but it is a very easy to fly and solid honest airframe in its own right for the class it's in. Now don't go thinking that the 1.2 only has scale flying chops. If you push it and you want a sport fly, it has the potential to be more aggressive in every way than the 1.1, as you're about to see. This thing will do pretty wild tumbles. As you can see here, these are some pretty tight, aggressive turns, and there's no hint of an accelerated stall. And now we'll taxi onto the grass and do some grass ops for you. This grass is pretty good, but that's one of the nice things about the tricycle gear configuration. You can get away with playing around in a bit thicker grass than you can a tail dragger. So, as you can see, both T-28s delivered the flight performance promised. So what's the bottom line? The 1.1 is an honest airframe with no bad habits for a very reasonable price. It suits pilots looking to transition to their second plane after a trainer that want excellent sport plane performance from a plane that looks like a warbird. Scale isn't really the key desire. Simplicity, performance, and easy to fly is. Obviously, Experienced pilots can have a great time throwing this thing around as well and feel no pressure while they're at it. The tricycle gear configuration makes the 1.2 T-28 the easiest to fly in the 1.2 Warbird line. That said, it requires a bit more skill than the 1.1. Its scale features enable it to mimic a full-scale T-28 Trojan to a level that the 1.1 can't hope to match. It's suited for pilots looking for a more full-featured scale model where scale is the key desire. It looks as if it might be complicated and demanding, but it really isn't. So there it is. That's pretty much all the cards on the table with these two T-28s. Make no mistake, somebody coming off of a trainer could absolutely transition to either one of these airplanes as their second airplane. You'll just have a bit more to learn with the 1.2 than the 1.1. Now, of course, that's provided that you've mastered your trainer. If you're just surviving your trainer, this may be the one you want to go into. If you've mastered it, this shouldn't be a problem for you. Obviously, experienced pilots, it's a no-brainer. We'll have a great time with either one of these things, just depending on what you're looking for. And in our opinion, they are well worth their respective price points, provided what they offer. So, one of these, if you're looking for a T-28 in this size range, should be the perfect T-28 for you. And of course, you can reserve the right to get both if you'd like. If you'd like to support our channel, we have a link in the description. When you go through that, it helps us out and it really supports our efforts. So thank you very much from Heidi and myself if you do that. That's going to wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. Take care, and we'll see you next week with something else cool with wings.